Welcome to the Residential Movement. I'm your host, Dr. Ashley Maciejewski, a house call dentist with a lot of passion for dental home care. I'm here to encourage, equip, and empower dentists like you to begin offering dental services at the residences of patients who are best served at home. Listen in as we talk dentistry, business, ethics, mindset, and more, and learn how you can become a part of the residential movement. Today, I want to tell you about one of my favorite Thursdays of all time. If you've picked up my free scheduling template called A Day in the Life of a House Call Dentist, you've already gotten a sneak peek into this story. For those of you who haven't gotten the free guide yet, check out residentialmovement.com/a day in the life to download it. I'll also leave a link to the guide in the show notes. Now let's begin the story of my favorite Thursday. My alarm went off at 4:45 a.m., which would have given me just enough time to get dressed and head to 5 a.m. yoga at the studio around the corner from me. On this particular Thursday, I was super tired because I was up late the night before working on different projects, so I canceled the alarm and decided to sleep in. That doesn't seem like a big deal, but let me fill you in on one of my limiting beliefs that I'm still working on overcoming. For years, I've been telling myself that if I don't exercise first thing in the morning, then I'm just not exercising that day because I'm a routine gal. I like to start my day with some movement, and I hate interrupting my day for exercise. Plus, then I have to do my hair and makeup all over again, and it's a huge hassle. Trust me, I have all the good excuses for why exercise is at 5 a.m. or bust, but I'm working on it. Okay, back to that morning. When I finally did decide to wake up, I felt great. I felt so well rested. But then the guilt set in. I was disappointed that I missed class that morning. I'd really been looking forward to that class because I was working through a pretty stressful season at the time, and I just wanted to get through a class and end it with a well-deserved Shavasana, you know? But instead of ruminating in the guilt, I decided to be grateful that I felt so well rested and decided that today was going to be a great day, no matter what. As soon as I made that decision, I got news that one of my patients on my schedule for that day tested positive for COVID and had to cancel their house call. I wasn't happy that my patient was sick, and I was bummed about an awkward hole in my schedule. But since I already decided to have a great day, I scheduled a midday yoga class to fill the gap between my other house calls. Yep, I was going to exercise in the middle of the day and earn my Shavasana after all. This was so exciting. What kind of dentist has time to go to yoga at noon on a Thursday? So not only was class itself awesome, but my classmates were awesome too. It turns out a lot of pretty cool people have time to go to yoga at noon on a Thursday. One woman at that class owns a gym up the road. One man owns a bar across the street, and another woman that was at that class runs a local charity. During that afternoon, I met a lot of like-minded people who also enjoy flexibility in their schedules, all because I mixed up my routine. Ever since then, I intentionally schedule things between appointments whenever it makes sense for me. Manicures, meetings, grocery runs, whatever needs to get done. Fun fact, when you live in Buffalo, you can pick up produce in the middle of a wintry day and be sure that it'll stay cold enough until you get home. If you unfortunately live in a warm or sunny place, I'm very sorry that you might not be able to do that. Think about moving to Buffalo for all of the perks of our remarkable winter weather. But seriously, the way I'm able to schedule my days makes them so enjoyable. This flexibility allows for a super healthy, low-stress work environment. So what do you want your days to look like? Think about the kind of life you want. I want you to live an awesome, low-stress, healthy life as a dentist. A healthy dentist is best for patients. I'll be honest, this podcast is called the Residential Movement, so obviously I think your life would be enhanced by offering dental house calls. But let's discuss some things and then you can decide. We're going to talk about all the ways chairside dentistry does not lend itself to days like the blissful Thursday that I got to experience. Typical chairside dentistry can be incredibly stressful. You've probably felt the workplace stress, so let's discuss 4 places where it's coming from. One reason chairside dentistry is stressful is because of the confinement factor. Think about it. A lot of dentists work in small, windowless offices. My pre-clinic lab in dental school and even my first public health job lacked windows. A lack of sunlight alone can make anyone stressed. Plus, if you're confined to this one building and working in these small operatories all day, you aren't physically progressing or going anywhere. It can make anyone mad. The confinement factor is definitely stress and anxiety inducing. House call dentists move around all day, so there's a real sense of freedom. Another reason for stress when working chairside is isolation. Historically, most dentists worked in solo practices, and solo practices are declining. Now only half of us do so. But still, that's a lot of dentists who don't spend time with any peers during the day. What a bummer. The peer isolation at work for solo practitioners can cause a great deal of stress because these dentists have to be on all day. Do you know that feeling of being on? Like you have to be all dialed up because you aren't in the relaxing company of friends? This feeling is a big contributor to workplace stress. It isn't true only for dentists. One of my friends is a teacher, and she loves catching up with other teachers at work. Even though teaching is really tough, the camaraderie at work is a huge stress reliever for her. Imagine if she was with only students or administrators all day. Even though I don't typically work with other dentists, I frequently schedule lunch meetings with other docs. I can drive to them, so it's easy for me. For them, getting out for lunch and back to work in time is almost impossible. Also, I enjoy the company of other business owners throughout the day too. Like at yoga, remember? They aren't dentists, but they are peers in another sense. Now, before I go on, I want to mention the day to day company of dental team members because I can already picture the hate mail pouring in. But Ash, everyone on the dental team is a peer. You're so rude if you don't think so. Hear me out. Team members are wonderful company. I absolutely adore my virtual assistant for Akama Dental. On the 2 days I spend chairside, I love my assistants and I really value the hygienists and the administration staff. As much as I enjoy working as a team, we are not all peers. We are all integral members, but there are weird dynamics at play here that can keep a practitioner feeling isolated. If you own your own business, the team literally relies on you financially. If you're an associate doc, there's still an odd power dynamic. I remember going out for an office dinner as an associate, and one assistant could not comfortably call me Ashley, even outside of the office. She was just formal, and referring to me as Dr. Maciejewski made her feel comfortable. There's no way, no matter how much we enjoyed each other's company, that we could ever be considered peers or friends. This is why, even while working alongside the loveliest team, a lot of dentists are still feeling isolated at work, and that does contribute to stress. Alrighty, moving on. Patient anxiety is another stress factor. More than a third of patients say that they experience dental anxiety. You know, patients might be afraid of noises, smells, being tipped back, or just about anything at their appointment. They may have experienced trauma in the past or just had a terrible dental experience before. When patients are anxious, of course, that can contribute to your anxiety. You're tiptoeing around trying not to do or say anything that's anxiety inducing for them. You're cautious about stepping on the rheostat too loudly. You're working swiftly because you don't want to keep them open for too long. You have to be even more calm and collected than usual because they are not. Sometimes this is easy. Other times, when it's a hectic procedure, and let's say you drop a mirror on the floor, the short time it takes for your assistant to hand you a new mirror can feel like an eternity. Now, patients at home also have dental anxiety. Heck, that's why a lot of them need a dental house call in the first place. But at least they're at home. They feel in control. They can light their favorite candle or play their favorite music or stay in their favorite recliner. Their anxiety is there, but it's turned down. So, as a house call dentist, you have freedom to take your time and be less stressed as well. The final workplace stress factor for a chairside doc that we're going to discuss is pressure, time pressure. When patients rearrange their day so that they can drive to your office, there's an expectation of punctuality on your part. You do your best to schedule ample time for procedures, but unpredictable things happen. The tooth try-in isn't going well because the patient hates the shade that they picked out even though you told them that they wouldn't like it. Someone smoked yesterday after an extraction and showed up with a dry socket for you to pack. The simple MO turned into an MOB because the cusp was actually undermined. All day, you're working and then staring right back at the computer screen to check the schedule and stay on course. At some point, your goal turns into just making it through the day. Be honest, have you ever had the craziest afternoon and just prayed that your final patient no shows? This is stressful stuff. And the crazy thing is that it's become so normal, like just absolutely normal, just to get through the day, go home, and do it all over again tomorrow. Chairside dentistry can feel like a rat race. House call dentistry allows you to schedule enough time for each patient visit, drive time, buffer time, so that there is no rushing. You won't have hygiene checks to do or any distractions while you're working and focusing on just one patient at a time. So maybe you don't mind the chaos. You just accept the stress. You think it's a part of the job and someone has to do it. Well, that's somewhat true. Dentistry won't ever be a stress-free profession. Even house call dentistry has its stressors. But I really believe that stressful moments should be kept to a minimum. I think house call dentistry has far fewer stressful moments than chairside dentistry. You already know the long-term health effects of chronic stress. Among dentists, there's an alarmingly high incidence of cardiovascular disease, ulcers, hypertension, back pain, eye strain, addiction, depression, and suicide. I mean, suicide in dentistry has been studied since the 70s, and modern studies still support that the prevalence of suicide amongst dentists is way higher than the national average. So, considering that minimizing stress can be the difference between life and death for docs, I'd say it's pretty important. But let's say you need more convincing. What if I told you that reducing workplace stress would actually benefit your patients? This seems like common sense. People who are stressed make more mistakes. But it isn't just common sense, it's been studied. The Journal of Patient Safety published a study last year that concluded that dental provider burnout is a key predictor of dental errors. Our patient safety is paramount. So if you don't mind sacrificing your own health for the sake of the rat race, that's fine. But maybe you'd consider exiting the rat race if it meant you could provide better care for your patients. Remember, if you win the rat race, you're still a rat. Consider becoming a house call dentist so that you can stop by yoga on a Thursday afternoon. At minimum, I hope you choose to work in a healthy environment that makes you happy. It'll make life healthier for you and for your patients. Whether you decide to pursue house call dentistry or not, you can still support patients who need dental home care by contributing to the Home Smile Care Foundation. The Home Smile Care Foundation is a nonprofit organization founded by myself and my loved ones to offer financial support to patients who struggle to afford in-home care. Visit homesmilecarefoundation.org. I wish you the happiest, healthiest workplace. Thanks for spending this time with me today. I appreciate you. That's a wrap on this episode of The Residential Movement. If you liked what you heard today, subscribe to stay updated and leave me a review. If you know someone who could benefit from this info, please share this with them. All of these actions help fuel the residential movement. Thanks again for listening, Doc. Keep up the good work.